All right. Hello, GenRight Nation. Thanks everybody for joining me. I'm obviously at a remote location, so just bear with me. Tech Talk is something we do every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time. So it's one of those things that hopefully you guys can all see and hear me good on both Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. So let's see, you can still ask questions. I've actually got a thing I've got Jen on the other side that's gonna read me the questions as you guys type them. Can you say hi, Jen?
Hi.
Okay, so she's still there. Today, I'm coming to you live from an RV park just inside Michigan. I'm finally up in Michigan. So it's been a good trip so far. Weather's been nice. Just been cruising. This is a great RV park. And I just pulled in long enough to get everything set up and get on and talk to you guys. So, all right. So first off, I want to remind everybody that we are having a big sale right now on our website. So go over there and check it out. It's right on the homepage. You can click it and see what's on sale. But it's a lot of good stuff, and I've seen some big orders coming through, so definitely check that out. I know a lot of you have seen that I've been in Colorado and Oklahoma and Arkansas and Georgia, and now I was in Tennessee yesterday. Now I'm up here. So it's one of those things where I'm kind of old school when it comes to this. I believe in shaking hands and talking to people. And we still do our fair bit of our normal internet social media stuff, but I really like to see people and talk to people in person. So hopefully you guys are one of those that have requested me to come back to the East Coast and spend some time back here. So anyways, that's what I'm doing, and I'm here. I'm going to Jeep night with our ambassador in Flint, Michigan tomorrow, and then I'm going to work my way back down for Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion, and we're going to have Terremoto there. We're going to have Aftershock, our JL. We're going to have a TJ to LJ conversion there, and we're also going to have a CJ7 there, as well as I'm sure some other Jeeps and stuff. So definitely a lot for you guys to see, a lot for us to talk about. All of these Jeeps have roll cages and fenders and axles and everything that you could possibly want, so we can go over it in great detail in person and talk about your build. The one other thing that I did want to tell you, now that we've gotten in a little bit, and I'm sure there's a few people watching. Jen, is there a lot of people watching?
Yeah, we got like 45 on Facebook. Everybody's saying hi. A bunch
Nice.
more on YouTube.
Nice.
Peter Doolin says drop by Virginia on the way back to Tennessee.
Nice. Okay. So hopefully everybody can hear Jen talking too. So that's cool. And then after Great Smoky Mountain, we're going to go over to Windrock and wheel for a day or two, whatever that looks like. So we've got lots going on, and then I'm going to work my way back west. So hopefully I get a chance to see you guys and gals while I'm back here. This is the tail end of this whole trip, so please make a point to come over and introduce yourself, and be happy to talk to you about your Jeep, your build, your wheeling, your whatever. So, whoops, sorry. Stop.
Jim
Okay.
Snyder says welcome to Michigan, and nice spot you got there.
Nice. Yeah, it is. It's a great spot. Here, actually, let me get to the other side of the camera, and I'll show everybody. It's a very nice RV park. The camera's taking a
Your
second.
mom's watching.
Nice. So, hi,
Ari
Mom.
says hello. Looks like a plush campsite.
It is. It's a very plush one. There's, here, let me turn this way. It's probably a little easier to see. It is very nice. Concrete spots, lots of grass. And by the way, they don't have to have sprinklers back here. You know why? Because it rains all the time. So, yeah, everything's nice and green, and there's a reason for that. I'm used to the brown of the desert, and I guess I've kind of gotten used to that. So anyways, there you go. You got to look around.
Alan Alvarez says hi. He says
Hey, Alan.
hola.
Good to see you, buddy. Or good to hear from you, anyways. Yeah. All right. So I don't know if you missed that or not, but we will have on display on a Jeep the brand new Mickey Thompson 42-inch Baja Bosses at Jeep Invasion. So if nothing else, get on over there to check that out. And that'll be really cool for everybody to check out. I got them to create some content for Mickey Thompson in advance of the tire being released. And Mickey Thompson's going to make an announcement there at the show on when they'll be available to the public. So definitely stand by, and good stuff coming up soon. So let's see.
Eddie Vandervoort says, Tony, I have an 05 Jeep LJUR. Want to do another build for me?
Oh, yeah, he'll have to call in and talk to the guys. Right now, we're not building anything but JLs with our EXS chassis. So, but there's plenty of our dealers and other people that would be happy to build that up. Ben Verosa being one of them up your way. So, yeah, definitely call in, talk to Andrew or one of the guys, and they can get you set up for sure. So, yep.
Jeep Pope says, hi, Tony. Jerry and I made it through the Rubicon Trail and Fordyce in the same week.
Nice. That's cool. So if you didn't hear that, just in case, somebody was just saying they made it through Rubicon and Fordyce. Those are both great trails, Fordyce being the tougher of the two. If you've never heard of that, it's on the other side of the 80 freeway, very near the Rubicon. Kind of where the Rubicon gets out is where Fordyce starts. So very good trail as well. So speaking of the Rubicon, my next event, once I get back from this, is going to be to take my budget YJ that we call 4-shock up to the Rubicon and prove that with a $10,000 totally all-in Jeep, you too can get through the Rubicon as long as you put the money in the right spot, in the right places, right, with all the right parts on the vehicle. So I'm looking forward to showing everybody that. It's going to be fun. And we'll film it and document it and show everybody how we were able to get through there and how that works. What else you got, Jen?
Byron Roberts says, on your way through Kentucky, do some wheeling at Hollerwood Park.
Ah, nice. I don't know if that's anywhere near Harlan, because I've been to Harlan. We did that, but I'll check that out. What else you got?
Angel Muniz asked thoughts on the cantilever suspension, pros and cons.
Okay. So the cantilever suspension's been around for a few years. Guys have tried it in Baja. There's been, in theory, it's a really cool setup. In reality, it's a bunch of moving parts that everyone I've ever seen is a total erector set, and it squeaks and it's terrible. It's very hard to get the spring rates right. It takes up a lot of room underneath the vehicle, where I currently have my 36-gallon gas tank. Not too many people have the luxury of having room for that, and you certainly won't if you put that kind of a system in. Or if you're like, oh, I'm going to show Tony and I'm going to put a 36, yeah, you know where it's going to be? Up in the passenger compartment. So your center of gravity will be super high and the thing's going to be a total squid to drive. So just take my word for it. Forget that stuff. You don't need it. You want the shocks mounted outboard just like we have it. This goes back to, if that was the cool, best way to do it, I'd have it, okay? So it's not what I have. What I have is outboard mounted, giant 3-inch coilovers, and that's what you want. So I appreciate the question, but yeah.
Terry Runyon asked, when you switch to 42s on Terremoto, do you have to raise the vehicle or no?
Well, I'm not raising the vehicle. I'm going to slap those things on, and anything that rubs is getting cut off. So yeah, that's how it's going to be. I'm not raising it 1 inch.
Dwayne White asks, why don't we see more of Jordan and the Lamborghini in action? Does Jordan do anything with it other than KOH?
Very good question. So Jordan's car has been in a million pieces, and I mean a million, since KOH. So remember, after a big race like that, and guys and gals, that is the Daytona 500 or the Super Bowl of off-road racing, King of the Hammers. So we carefully take that car apart, analyze everything. The whole thing gets redone, rebuilt, and he's actually just got it put back together and said, hey, Dad, we're going to go testing the first weekend in September. So which is pretty much when I get back. So I think on my way home from this, I'm actually going straight out to meet him at Johnson Valley to test the car. So it's just back together. That I know it's hard to believe, but guys, it's so complicated, so many facets. When you talk about being competitive and racing, you don't just keep slapping the car and running it. You'll have so many broken things you won't even know where to start. So we're carefully going after this to make sure that we've got every little issue taken care of so that he can get to the podium. So what else you got?
Rick Turner said, looking for a men's black t-shirt with your classic red, white, and blue logo like on your hat. Didn't see one on the website.
I don't know that we have any of the classic black t-shirts left. What we're doing right now is we're just rolling through limited edition designs. Now there may still be some, and I don't know where this gentleman is located, but I have some older shirts with me in the RV, and I was going to divvy those out to certain people on this trip. So if you're one of those people that's going to see me either at the Jeep night tomorrow night or down at Smoky Mountain, I may have something for you.
Okay, Herman Singh asks, why do you use high pinion Currie 70s on the rear? Is it just for the clearance? Isn't the low pinion much stronger for the rear?
Okay, so the question was why high pinion 70s? There's a whole bunch of reasons. Number one, that I run a high pinion. High pinion is very important, and I don't know that I could probably pop this camera off and show. So let me wheel this thing over there, and I'm going to show. This is very, very important. So if you're watching right now, you need to pay very close attention. Okay. Let me pick this whole thing up and carry it over here. Okay. So for those of you that aren't familiar with high pinion, this is why. So hang on, I don't know that the camera can keep up with the light here. Let me try turning this on. I've got another light here. Okay, there we go. All right. So hopefully you guys are seeing this a little bit. But basically, the drive shaft is up above probably a good 2, 3, maybe even 4 inches above the control arms. So it is way, way up out of harm's way. And if you've ever gone wheeling, that is super important because you hit that drive shaft and they just fold up like a tin can. So you got to make sure, and there's the front drive shaft. Let me zoom in on that a little bit. And you can see that's way up out of the way as well. So the whole pinion, everything, the yoke, it's all way up out of the way. And that makes a huge difference right there, guys. So good question. Man, I really wish I could get a little better view. Hang on. now I'm like way zoomed in. There we go. Hopefully people can kind of see that where the drive shaft is way up there. Okay, so I'm gonna put this back on the tripod. Hang on here. A little tricky. And I'm zoomed out. Okay. I'm gonna use Terremoto as the backdrop now. Let me grab, all right, I'm back. Are you still there? Okay.
Yeah.
What did I miss in terms of questions now?
Robert Wheeler said, I have a JK 2008 that has EGV engine code. The EGV has been replaced within the last year. My question is, what else might be causing the P0401 code?
Oh man, I don't even, without looking that up, I don't even know what that is. Is that one of the ones that you're having that's like the stupid solenoid for the oil pressure or something?
I used to, I used to get that.
Yeah.
We all get the P0401 code.
Yeah.
It could be so many different things.
It could be. And it might just be nothing. So what, you've got the taser or something that you clear it out with?
Yeah, the flash cow.
That's what you use? You clear it out?
Yeah, I clear it out. Well, I replaced the engine eventually, but that's not always the answer.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you should figure out what the issue is and get it resolved. But unless it's putting your Jeep in limp mode or something, obviously you can kind of ignore it for a little while. So, yeah.
Anthony Chevalier asked, are you guys hitting Teleco?
I'm not hitting Teleco this time around. I hope that one of my trips back here I can do that next time. I got to save something for next time, so yeah.
Matt McDonough asked, what are the advantages of an 8-lug over 5-lug wheels?
So depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to me, I'm not a fan of the 8-lug. So let me look. Let's go back like here, and I'm going to zoom in. Okay, the 5-lug wheel. Sorry, my camera work isn't too stellar. The 5-lug wheel is what they call hub-centric. So the wheel actually locates on this hub. So all of the strength comes from here, and the lug nuts actually just hold the wheel on the hub, if that makes sense. So the lug nuts are not doing the work. On an 8-lug, the lug nuts are doing the work because the wheel has a huge bore and it's just floating. So the lug nuts or the lugs do all the work, and the nuts hold it on. What ends up happening is, if you've gone 8-lug, like axles, then you got, the brakes are way oversized. They're big, clunky, cast iron. And I know a lot of people go, well, I want bigger brakes because I'm, going to be running bigger tires. Well, it doesn't work like that. It's not quite how it works. So it's one of those things where, you just gotta kind of take my word for it that the 5-lug is a great way to go. It's the way I'm gonna stay for sure. I know some people try and do the compromise and go 6-lug, but then you're the odd man out for sure. And if you need any spares or anything, nobody's gonna have it. And I think when I talk to people back here, they all go with 8-lug because all their buddies have 8-lug, and they know they can get back to the parking lot and find somebody with spare parts. So it just depends. What I do is I don't worry about these. They're not gonna break, so yeah. Okay, what else you got?
Trey Algram asked, what fluid should we run through tracer? Rob Davis radiator cooler.
Oh, you want the orange. So yeah, typically, GM is gonna recommend, with an aluminum block, they're gonna want the orange coolant. I buy the premix stuff. It's already got distilled water in it. The ratios are right. Just go that route. It makes it easy. So yeah, good question though.
Is GenRight welding LJ cages at this time?
I know somebody else asked that. They'd have to actually call in and talk to Andrew. Andrew's in charge of all of our schedule over at the motorsports shop. And he's one of my, on the desk sales guys. So he would know whether we could fit that in or not. If we can fit it in, we'd be happy to, for sure. But it's like a fit-in thing. We are extremely busy for sure. So.
Pete Laura asked, how would you build a Go Fast TJ if you were limited to 104-inch wheelbase? What kit tire size would you build off of?
Yeah, you're probably gonna be limited to like a 37 or a 40. And I would use our Legend kit, you know. I mean, I would. We've got the TJ tracer as well that you could try. So, you know, again, you could call in and talk to the guys or come see us, you know, at SMOKEY or one of these other shows that I'm going to be at, and I could show you exactly why. We've got a ton of information on our website. And, you know, one of the things that I wanted to reinforce with all of our viewers is, guys, we're not some one-off fab shop that's going to try and snow you into the fact that we can make the best thing there is out there. We are an engineering facility. Like our company engineers all these products. So when we're talking about axles and shocks and all these things, like we work with the actual CAD files from the manufacturers. We're putting everything together. We're using our experience racing, all of my time that I'm out running trails. You know, you don't see other business owners in the industry. In fact, I mean, you just don't see anybody doing that. Like, I'm the guy. And we're the ones that, like I say, we're not just a one-off fab shop. It is proven engineered production parts that we are constantly out there showing everybody how well they work. So by all means, that's what separates us from everybody else for sure. So what are the questions you got?
Stacy Pichetta says that coming to meet you at Great Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion and check out the TJ to LJ, would it be possible to get a ride?
Probably. So the Jeeps cannot move during the show, but after the show, we typically go out and cruise the boulevard with everybody else. So I'm sure a ride could be achieved upon leaving the show for sure. Yep.
Jennifer says hi to us. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
Jeep Pope. So true on that high pinion is the way to go. Even though I made it through Fordyce, I had to drive home with the front drive line.
There you go.
Bird says hi. Terramota's looking good.
Okay, so let's actually go back to the high pinion question.
Okay.
So here's the deal. For years, because remember, I was on 31s, 33s, 35s, 37s, 40s, 42s. Like I've played the tire size game. And the deal is this. Low pinion is strong, okay? So a lot of guys want to stay with like a low pinion 44. Well, you have to, because you can't run a reverse high pinion, right? It's running on the wrong side of the gear. High pinion in the rear 44. That thing won't even make it 20 feet on the trail and it's gonna break, okay? So everybody went to a 60 to go to a high pinion. Well, you know, the 60 was really designed as a front axle. So when you're running high pinion on the front, it's the proper direction, but when you run in the rear, it's actually pushing everything away. So that's when Currie came out with the 70. So the 70 has the load bolt. It's designed, you know, and by the way, the pinion's twice the size of a 60. So everything inside the 70 is bigger. The ring gear's an inch bigger, you know, beside the fact that the pinion's bigger. The pinion's important because that means there's more teeth in contact. And that's a really important part. So when Currie first told me they wanted to do the 70, I was like full on racing King of the Hammers. And we horsepower race car, and we were putting in thousands of miles on this thing to be competitive. And not once did we chip a tooth, break a gear, like nothing. I mean, the 70 is so good, even running, you know, high pinion reverse with that kind of horsepower. So trust me, you know, if you throw a 300, 400, 500 600 horsepower engine in it, like you're not even gonna phase that rear end for sure. So, all right, what else you got?
Harmon Singh asks, how does the 3-link front, 4-link triangulated rear kit without front sway bar, like on EXS daily drives, compared to just regular long arm kits?
Well, okay, so remember, a regular long arm kit is not optimizing everything like we are. They're not moving all the spring and dampening control way out to the wheels. Therefore, you know, you try and take the sway bar off and it's gonna be squirrely. This does not have a sway bar. And I don't know if you saw the videos of me giving rides there in Georgia, but that was full tilt sliding. And I can tell you, every person that got out of that Jeep was like, holy crap, I had no idea a Jeep could even do this. So it all makes a difference. Everything we're doing, literally people's heads were just spinning. They could not imagine. Because I told them, I go, oh, by the way, you know, where I'm running around out here in Georgia is open. Grab your Jeep and come on out and spin around. And they're like, no way, I'm gonna roll in that first corner. So it's a big difference. And that's why I'm always encouraging everybody to get a ride with us so they could actually see and feel it for themselves. When you climb in something like this, it's like you were, not just like you needed glasses, it's like you were blind. It's a whole different deal. And that's all I can say. You gotta check it out for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. It's what I'm driving. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Like, there's nothing else I want to drive. This is it. So, what else you got?
Josh Nessler wants to know how hot it is there.
It is not hot here. It's just slightly humid, but today was like, I think at one point it got to 80, but now it might be 75. It's pretty nice. And there's lots of bugs. I'm getting eaten alive.
Mark Lawrence says, great system. 04 LJ Tracer build, and this system works awesome. The wheels just push down for traction and stability.
There you go. There you go.
Bo Parham, are you using a 5-on-5 or 5-on-5.5 inch wheel?
So you have to do 5-on-5.5 to get around the hub. So the 5-on-5 is just too small to even make it. So whether it's the front locking hub or the rear full float hub, you got to be 5-on-5.5. So good question. Yep.
Rick Harrington asked, when are you planning on being on the Rubicon again? Might have to join you.
Mid-September. Mid-September. So I'll be out there.
Let's see. Scott Williams, how do I get a set of the 42x17 Mickey Thompson?
You got to come to Smoky Mountain and we're going to all get the answer. So, yeah.
So not available just yet?
Just yet. Well, I know the ones that I received are full DOT compliant. So they passed everything, which means that the whole production run is going. So it's just a matter of when they'll be available. So, but we'll find out in 1 week's time. So I'll actually be at Mickey Thompson on Monday. So I'm going there on Monday.
Scott will be there. He says he'll be there.
Okay, but I'll be at Mickey Thompson on Monday. So I'm going to see all my friends over there.
Turn up the pressure.
That's right.
Okay, Daniel Pardita says 2017 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon on 37th front coilovers, 3-inch lift. When you rock your Jeep, should your steering wheel move? Might have slight wandering on the freeway.
Yeah, so that's called bump steer. So something's slightly off, right? Either the length of the drag link or the length of the track bar are not quite the same, and they need to be in the same plane. So just take another look at that. And by the way, rarely are they done right. You know, unless you get your Jeep from us, I don't see anybody doing those right. They do them close, but they're not right. So it's one of those things.
Joe Alice asked, LJ build on 40s Legend with sway bar coilovers.
Yeah, I mean, so we sell the Legend kit, you know, full coilover conversion, right? Front and rear. We only offer a rear sway bar for that. That's all you need. And by the way, there's a video on our website and there's one on YouTube as well, where we show the Jeep with a Legend kit going around a corner without a sway bar and then with the sway bar, and it's like driving a Ferrari. So big difference. But remember, a sway bar limits your travel. And then you get what I call sway bar whiplash, okay? And if you've watched Tech Talk at all, I've probably said that 50 times. When you take a vehicle like this and you go through the trail, the tires just walk through. once you put a sway bar in, that as this wheel goes up, it's trying to force the other wheel up. So it's constantly like whipping the vehicle back and forth. I don't know about you, that bugs the crap out of me, and it's unacceptable. So that was how we ended up developing all of this, because I insisted on not having a sway bar. So that's when we perfected this whole thing, because I want the vehicle to just walk through and be streetable, right? Like, it's not asking too much, guys. You're not. We offer it. It's there. It exists. So what else you got?
Craig Huffman asked, what brand ring and pinion do you recommend?
So I'm a fan of genuine Dana Spicer. If you cannot find that, then Yukon's pretty good. So, you know, and remember, you've got to heat cycle those at least 3 times properly. So that's bring them up to temperature for at least 15 minutes, then let them cool all the way down, and then re-bring them up to temperature. When you're done with the heat cycle, I change the oil, put good stuff in, and then you're good to go. So if you put new gears in and you go hit the trail, you're gonna mess something up. I can't tell you how many guys in my Jeep club have done that, and right away they're chipping teeth, they're breaking stuff. It's not good. You gotta heat cycle them. So.
Anthony Atkinson asked, can you tell us anything on Jordan's new red YJ?
So, I'm not entirely sure what his overall plan is, but I asked him if he was going to go to the Rubicon with me, and he's like, have you seen it lately, Dad? And I'm like, no. He goes, look out there. And it's sitting as a tub. It's like as straight. It's like if you bought a tub from a junkyard. That's what it looks like. It's just a tub. I don't even know where all the parts are. So he goes, I'm waiting on an Atlas. You know, I'm like, oh geez, I don't know when this thing will be back together. But he's got big plans for it. So I know he did tell me he was waiting for a Currie axle for it, and he's got some other axles there. You know, Jordan, he's got all these ideas. He's just got to pull it all together. So it should be interesting. But when I'm back at GenRight, I'll get him in front of the camera and he can tell you guys himself what he's got in mind. Okay, we'll do a little slideshow. I promise.
Okay,
Yeah.
David Obi said LS and an LJ motor mounts for passenger side, Atlas and D60. That favor passenger, or do I have to make my own?
You'd have to make your own. Yeah. Yeah, everything we do is driver side drop, for sure. And, yeah.
And then Trey Algram says, question on King 2.5-inch IBPs. The stock spring rate is 150 over 200. Is that an okay rate for a typical tracer build with aluminum LS build? 2.5 to 3 inch of preload, good starting place?
So that sounds like a spring rate for the rear. That's probably where I'd start in the rear. In the front, you should probably be 200 over 200 or 200 over 250 would probably be where I would start. But, you know, I typically, once you get to 3 inches of preload, that's like my limit, because you're going to get coil bind in the front. So you want to make sure that, remember, every 50 pounds, once it's on the ground, every 50 pounds equals 1 inch. So if you go up 50 pounds, if you went to 200, it'd raise the nuts 1 inch. If you went to 250, it'd raise it 2 inches. So that just gives you an idea on where you're at. But spring rate's important. You know, you want to be able to make sure you've got the right ride. Now the other thing is, don't forget about, on these shocks it's hard to tell because they've got the black, let me zoom in. They've got the black secondaries. I just realized I was going over to a shock that you guys can't even see. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. The preload nuts, and then the secondary nut is right here above the slider. So you don't want, you can see on mine I have almost zero preload because I've got the spring rate absolutely perfect. Then I've got the secondary kicking in pretty quickly. So think of it this way. The top spring is your ride spring, and the bottom spring is your load spring. So that's really what you're after, to make sure that you've got that set right, and you want to make sure that, remember, there's no more than a 100-pound difference between the two springs, or the transition will be too abrupt, the transition from the second spring. So it's just one of those things. And, you know, I've got whole videos, you know, that talk about this through Tech Talk and on our website. And again, a great thing to come see me and talk about. So, all right.
Okay, on a 1989 YJ, do you have any recommendations for the stock Dana 35 rear and Dana 30 front?
Okay, so the Dana 30 front is a high pinion. I like that front end, especially if you're not gonna go more than a 35-inch tire. You do need to do the one-piece axle conversion kit, and Yukon, that's what I did on mine, has a complete setup where it converts it to the 297 U-joints. It's got the chromoly axles, the one-piece conversion that gets rid of the vacuum-operated deal. That's a really great setup. That'll work good for you. The high pinion is running on the right side of a gear, and you'll be fine, especially if you're an automatic or you're easy on the clutch. The 35 in the rear, don't even take that out of the driveway. Just get that rear end out of there and go get yourself a Dana 44 out of a TJ or an LJ. They're readily available. You can also find a Ford Explorer 8.8. All of these will come with disc brakes, and then you just gear it properly, you know, which you got to do anyways, and get yourself a locker. And man, you're gonna go a lot of places. Now keep in mind, the 8.8 and the 44 are low pinion, so they're not ideal, but don't lift it too high. The moment you put the 44 in, you're gonna have to do a slip yoke eliminator. We've talked about this on previous Tech Talks, and you can go back and I went through a lot of detail on this as I was building our budget YJ. You'll do the slip yoke eliminator and a double cardan U-joint to make sure that rear doesn't burn up. So the rear drive shaft. So yeah, good question. And man, that'll last you years. You'll have a good time on that. So what else you got?
LT or Hemi swap for my LJ?
Oh man, this is like the $1 million question. Okay, so both of those are going to require a computer-controlled transmission. Okay, so I'm not a fan of that. That's like my big issue. And you know, even when I was in Georgia, one of the other Jeeps that was out there driving around with me, his was computer controlled, and he was constantly complaining about how it wouldn't hold a gear, you know, that he wanted. It's like jumping up or back, and that's really annoying when you're off-road. Now, look, if you're just a crawler and you're not going more than 5 miles an hour because you got all your camping stuff and your family, don't worry about it. But if you want to hang with me, it'll be a problem. You're gonna like blow your tranny up and frustrate the heck out of yourself. So the one other thing I'll add, Hemi is 150 pounds heavier. Okay, that's a lot on the front end. So remember just a second ago when we were talking about spring rates, you're gonna be like 50 or 100 pounds up on that spring rate. So these are all things to consider. I don't know about your Jeep, but my Jeep, like this is about as well balanced as you can get a Jeep. I've got batteries, I've got all kinds of stuff. Everything's moved to the back, and I still, that front end will bottom way before the rear end. And man, if I could get any more weight off that front end, I'd do it. So just something to consider. I'm certainly not interested in adding weight. So there you go. What do you got?
Granite Wheeler asks, can you run without a spare with the Mickey Thompson? Several of us have been running Nittos without a spare and no issues.
Yeah. So I'm with you on this. And I have this conversation all the time is, and part of it depends on where you wheel, how far away, you know, the truck and trailer are, kind of thing. Because a lot of the time we just leave the spare on the trailer, and then if we really need it, we can go back and get it. I don't know. I typically don't carry a spare unless I'm trying to like balance a Jeep. If I'm going fast, then I'll throw it in. But I don't know if you saw at Choco Loco. I took my spare out and left it on the trailer, and you know, that extra weight off the back it makes a difference.
Harmon's saying, what bolt size do you use for links on your chassis?
Everything on the links is 9/16, and they're all grade 8. Yep. 9/16 on everything. Yeah.
And have you ever had broken link bolts or broken brackets while off-roading?
Not even bent, like nothing. And they're all in double shear joints, so it cushions the blow, but we've never had any problem with any of those. So yeah, that to us, that is like written in stone, proven. We've raced KOH with it. We've done everything crazy. Even like, I don't know if you ever saw that video. It's over on YouTube of Jordan tumbling his Jeep. This is, man, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. But you ought to watch that. It tumbled almost a quarter mile, and not a single bolt was bent, damaged, brackets, nothing. Like, it was good to go. So.
Okay, Matt McDonough asked, do you need to run a coilover and a separate bypass shock on all 4 corners to go fast?
No, that's why on all my vehicles you'll find an internal bypass shock. You just need one. If you've never ridden in a vehicle with a bypass shock, they are noisy. It makes it sound like your control arms are falling off. Okay, they click, just like a loose control arm bolt. When you go to an internal bypass, they're quiet and they do the exact same thing. And that's why I tell everybody, if you buy it from us, I've already figured out the valving, the ride height, the springs, the whole 9 yards. So all you gotta do is put it in, you're gonna be like 90% there. Because I don't have total control on what else you're putting in the vehicle. So, but you know, you come talk to me at a show, and like a lot of people do, and we can usually make some changes right there within a couple minutes, and they're going, and they never come back. They're like, it's great. Like, no, thank you. So.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mark Lawrence says, spring question, is this normal? 1-inch preload, secondary nut, 2 fingers, and when wheeling, I go into the bump stops about 3/4 of the total length. Never bottoms out.
Yeah, that's normal. Now, he could move those secondary nuts down, like if he feels like he's getting into the bump stops too much. I'm not sure which way he's going, if he's saying he wants, you know, to go the other way, or if he wants, you know, but I would probably try cutting that secondary nut distance in half and see what he thinks. That's what I would try, and see what you think. So.
Deirdre Berger says, hey Tony, waving from NorCal, when are we motor swapping your motorhome?
I think those are the folks we met at Jeep Beach, not last year, but the year before, right? That also have a Monaco. And her and her husband, we had a great time hanging out with them. He was the one wearing a sweatshirt on the beach. I'm like, dude, what's going on? So good to hear from you guys.
Daniel says, follow-up question to the wandering and steering wheel moving when rocking the Jeep.
Sure.
Steer Smart's drag link and rock jock track bar perfectly parallel. How important is the track bar length?
It's important. So here's I'm gonna try and simplify this answer. One of the reasons that we don't even mess around with coil springs is because it's so limiting. Now, I'm not talking about coils on a coilover shock. I'm talking about coil springs like your Jeep came with, okay? They're in the way. It's a cheap way for the manufacturer to build it. It's a cheap way for all these aftermarket companies to, you know, sell you stuff. It's not the right way to do it. Throw that crap away, get coilovers, then you can make everything the proper length in the proper spot. It just doesn't work. I don't care what brand you put on there. And by the way, Steer Smarts and Rock Jock are not made to work with each other at all. So, you know, that's a whole nother subject about mixing components. So just, yeah, if Jeeping is your thing, get off those coil springs and do it right. We have the right stuff, so that's all I can say.
Joe Alice asked, what manual transmissions do you like?
I mean, there's definitely some good ones out there, you know, in terms of strength, right? But the problem is that for the kind of wheeling I do, you just can't shift fast enough, and the torque converter also helps to soften the drive line so that you're not constantly pounding the U-joints and the ring gear and the pinion gear and the axle shafts. Once you let that clutch all the way out, man, that thing's solid. So, and by the way, all my automatic transmissions decelerate. You can, man, if you're going down the freeway and you put that thing in first gear like you would on a manual transmission, mine will lock those tires up and go to first gear at whatever speed. That tranny will do whatever you tell it to do, and it has plenty of deceleration in any gear. Again, this is what I was just talking about in Georgia. Everybody that rode with me was like, man, like, I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know that's how it worked. I didn't know you could, you know, shift a tranny like that. Yeah, they just have no idea. So, yeah, I'm literally just trying to impart my knowledge and share it with everybody, and you know, you guys can do with it what you want. You know, take it or leave it. I know everybody's on a budget too, and or they only have so much time, so you just got to kind of work with what you have. But you know, if you've got an AX15 tranny in your Jeep, you know, those go hundreds of thousands of miles and work pretty good. So a lot of people still run those. Andrew runs one. I think Arnold just put one in his Jeep. So they're definitely out there and around. So, yep.
Do you have any updates on the budget 4-shock YJ? And do you run track bars on it?
No. Okay. Great question. So no, I don't run a track bar on my budget YJ. The next step for the budget YJ is that we're going to take it to the Rubicon and wheel it in a few weeks, because I want to show everybody that, you know, for minimal buck, you can build something that even you can get out to the Rubicon and have a good time. Now, you can spend a fortune too and run the Rubicon. You might be a little more plush, but you can still do it. But no, I've got the BDS springs with the military wrap. I got rid of the track bars. You know, we talked about, I re-geared it. I put lockers in it, better axle shafts, did the slip yoke eliminator, new JE reel drive shafts, CV, you know, double cardan on both front and rear. So basically I've just done the very bare minimum. I'm waiting to run the Rubicon. Then I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna put a roll cage in it, I'm gonna do our fenders, I'm gonna do our corners, I'm gonna change the steering. I got a bunch of stuff that I wanna do, but I've just been waiting because I wanna show everybody this first step that, yeah, you can go do the Rubicon, so. But thanks for asking.
Can the JKU 3.6 exhaust loop be retained with your Elite kit?
Yes, yeah, you gotta cut it and modify it. And we've got lots of pictures and stuff of that. So if you buy our kit, the sales guys can email those to you. Yep.
And Jimmy Valhalla says, so the LT is lightweight, but I can't think of any automatic transmissions that aren't computer controlled.
Right. So that's why I stick with the LS3. Just find one. I don't care if you got to buy it from Summit or wherever, or out of a junkyard. You can freshen it up. Then you get yourself either a Turbo 400 or a 4L80, and you convert it to full manual valve body with a non-lockup torque converter, and you are going to be golden. So, yeah.
Bo Parham asked, if I want to get wheels and tires before putting bigger axles under the Jeep, Dana 30 front and 44 rear, building the Jeep in stages, is there a hub kit to go on the 5 on 5.5 instead of running wheel spacers? There's a great question. No, you do have to run wheel spacers, and you can get a high quality one from Spider Tracks. That's the absolute minimum. It's I don't know, it's 3/4 or 1 inch thick. It's just enough to put the lug nuts on,
And then what you can do is when you order the wheels, you can get the deeper backspace that kind of accommodates for it, which is what we recommend with the big axles anyways. So that's a great question and good thinking. That Andrew did that for like 3 years while he was waiting to build his Jeep. So, yep.
And Jack Teal asked, are you manufacturing rear corner guards for a JT Gladiator?
Not yet. That is on my radar. I know every JT I see has got a bashed, rear on it, or tail lights missing or something. So that's on our radar. I got 99 new products in the pipeline, so that's one of them. Yeah.
Jeep Adventure says, hey Tony, what about a DCT and a full standalone ECU such as a Cyvex?
I mean, it's certainly possible. It's not what I would do, but sure. Yeah. Yep.
And Stacy Pachetta says, how about a low buck TJ for the winter?
Yes. Okay, so that's my next project, and I'm going to do our TJ to LJ conversion on it. So, yeah, stay tuned. I mean, I'm trying to show everybody we got all the right parts to make it happen for sure. Yep. So.
Okay, that's it. That's all caught up for questions.
Yeah. How are we doing on time? We've actually. We did good. We did really good. Okay, well, I just want to remind everybody to like and subscribe on either YouTube or Facebook, and I hope to see you guys at one of these events. Thanks for tuning in. I'm grateful for everybody watching and asking questions, and I know once tomorrow night I'll be coming to you live again from Jeep Night up in Flint. And then we'll be live from Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion as well. So, all right, everybody, have a great evening, and we will see you next time. Bye. End scene.